Oh my god!
Oh, these knives, man.
What are you talking about?
You know
Ladder
what?
goat?
Suck it.
Ladder
Have you
goat?
not seen Ladder Goat on YouTube?
No, I don't know what ladder goat
Oh
is.
my god.
I don't look up funny cat videos on YouTube all day.
That is not a cat video. It's a video game video. And you just need to watch the first 30 seconds or a minute. It's pretty freaking funny.
Oh, is that the... Never mind. I'm sure I'm thinking of something else. That's not the one where like the goat just like floats away in the middle of a video game.
No, the goat climbs a ladder and this kid just loses it.
Oh, maybe I have seen it and I just didn't realize. I just didn't memorize every word in it like you guys did.
It's pretty effing funny.
Oh, cool.
Let's get this started.
Okay.
B-ho.
Hello and welcome back to the FTHcast. We are at episode number 10. We made it. We accomplished something. I finally did something worthwhile in life. I did 10 episodes of a podcast that only my friends, well, like 2 of my friends who recorded with me listen to. Oh, I'm just kidding. Of course, we are also here with Kyle. Say hello, Kyle.
Hey guys.
And also the great, wonderful, and magnificent Nathan.
You say that?
Yeah.
I just was laughing because
One of us is either the great and wonderful every single episode.
I can't ever think of anything else to say. I don't know. I should probably like come up with a list of things and write them down one day. But anyway, doesn't matter. This week we're talking about multiplayer. I'm just kidding. That was last week. Oh my gosh, what a week! It's been a long week. I don't know where I'm going with this, but it doesn't matter. I was gonna ask you what you guys have been playing, but then I remembered you just told me you were on vacation, Kyle, and that you haven't played anything at all except for like.
True.
Did you get New Leaf yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you should get New Leaf. I play it like every 3 days now. I was playing it every day.
I kind of just want to get it just so on the holidays I can turn it on and see what the world looks like.
I would let you borrow it, but I bought a digital copy of it, so I can't do that.
So that's useless.
Pretty much. Yeah, because Nintendo won't let you trade digital games. Come on, Nintendo. What the heck? Why aren't you ahead of the curve with everybody? Next Microsoft. Anyway, I'm sorry, that was a really bad joke. Nathan, what did you play last week?
Embarrassingly, Black Ops 2.
Embarrassingly?
Oh, embarrassingly.
Yeah, pretty sad to say. I was bored, so I figured I'd play it, and it's a nice change of pace, I guess.
Yeah, because it's really fast, and it's very balanced.
And the spawns are freaking amazing.
Yeah, they're really good spawns. Really good community. That's probably the best part about Blops.
Oh, yeah.
Best community.
Nothing like 12-year-old kids talking about raping my mom.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Oh, man. I've been playing everything. I've been playing a lot of Rift, actually.
Tell us about it.
I'm kind of surprised how much Rift I've been playing, because I haven't played that game in a long, long time. That's the World of Warcraft super clone. I call it a super clone because it's really a clone, but it's done a lot better than most other World of Warcraft clones. And it's a good game. It's a good game. But yeah, I've been playing that. I've been doing PvP. I'm almost max level. It's fun. I'm a healer. I heal people. I played like 10 hours of Civilization 5 straight. And that's been about my last week. So fascinating. What was that?
You probably need to get a life or something.
No. No. That costs money. I can just sit at home and play video games that I already own. It sounds fun. All right. The actual topic for this week is art in video games, or more or less just video games as art. Does it exist, or is it just a made-up rumor on the internet that video games actually detain some type of culture or significance on the human race? So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's just generalize the question as much as possible. Do you feel like video games have already, in the current list of video games to be released and already released, reached a level that could be considered art? Go, same time, both of you. I'm just kidding.
Yes. Oh, you blew it, Nathan.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
So, I guess you're first, Kyle. Yes. Is that your
If-
whole answer?
Yes,
No examples?
that's it. I'll see you guys later.
Okay, bye. Thanks for coming to the FTHcast. Video games are art. Word is law. No,
If rap music can be considered art in the musical world, then video games can be considered art in the interactive entertainment world.
but video games are almost the only medium in the interactive entertainment universe. I mean, video games are. I mean, I can't think of anything else that'd be interactive entertainment other than like
Cornhole?
cornhole. Cornhole. I was gonna make some perverted comment about some perverted concert musician guy who would, like, I don't know, throw stuff at you, but I couldn't think of anything. Anyway, back to topic.
I think like the closest thing to video games is film, and I mean,
Yeah.
if you showed somebody, I don't know, whatever X movie, and it was just absolutely just horrible and stupid, and you asked them, "Is this art?" They'd be like, "No, of course not." But if you showed them, again, whatever, like Citizen Kane or
there you
whatever,
go.
I mean,
No,
this
no.
is a movie that's highly revered.
Ghostbusters
like, yeah,
2.
of course, Ghostbusters 2. They'd be like, "Oh, yes, of course it is." So I
Yeah.
mean, you have games like Saints Row. I'm just using that because it's an example that's like notoriously crude and
Yeah.
just over the top.
But it's
And,
good
I mean,
though. Like,
right. Well, I mean, I'm not saying it's
Right.
but like, I mean, somebody looking out is going to look at that and be like, "This guy's like the naked president flying around fighting aliens." Like, no, that's
Yeah.
not art. But you show them like Journey or Ico or whatever, and it's a whole totally different experience just in the same medium. So
Yeah.
it's notice
See-
that both of those were just PlayStation exclusives.
But but there's an argument there, even for games like Saints Row the Third, that's really just vulgar and crazy. That it is also art because it's executed well, and there was a vision there, and it was put forth, and it was done well. It's kind of like a Rob Schneider movie, like that. Those movies, I don't know why Rob Schneider came up to mind, but those movies are bad generally, and they're not made well, and the story's not written well, and they're just not put together well. But even like, say, Revenge of the Nerds, where that's another instance where it's raunchy and stuff, but it was done well. I don't know. I mean, it's looked at now as something that was, I guess, a cult classic. It'll be interesting to see, I don't know, in the future exactly how people look back at video games, because we definitely see what people look back to at like the NES era and the 8-bit era. Like, people really look at that stuff and really see it as art. I mean, they call it pixel art. There's pixel art, and then there's of course the chip tunes and stuff. Like, they have terms for the type of art that it is. So it'll be interesting to see with this more modern, the polygonal era, and then now this more atmospheric, detailed era, like how people look back at video games now as art. Because you have Mario, the original Mario Brothers. There's no story there. There's nothing interesting. It's all just chip tunes and pixel art. But people look at that and revere it because it was it was a good game or whatever. And then you look at something like BioShock Infinite, where it's not necessarily the greatest looking game of its generation, but it told a really, really good story, and it told it really, really well, and it executed everything, pretty much to vision. I mean, people are going to look back at that, and it's going to be kind of more the maybe avant-garde type of art in video games, something a little more highbrow. What do you think, Nathan?
I agree. I mean, I don't really have some in-depth answer, but
We need to
like
have
Kyle was
somebody on
saying,
here that hates video games and does not
I
agree
know,
with us
yeah.
at all.
some antagonist.
That'd actually be really fun to have somebody who just doesn't like video games. Not somebody who doesn't know anything, because that would be really stupid. Well, I don't know. But yeah,
Let's get Josh Hamilton on here.
he likes video games.
Madden doesn't count.
No, because he's played Far Cry 3 and maybe BioShock. I don't know. So there's some stupid stuff he put on his Twitter. He probably listens to this, so I probably shouldn't
You'd
say
have
that.
to edit this out.
No, I love
That
him.
faggot.
He'll be all right. Joshua, he's a great guy. Sort of.
Fantastic.
I'm just kidding. All right. So, of course, we all agree. Now, let's just take a middle break because I kind of lost my spot. What were you saying, Nathan? Before
I was just going to
really long
agree
edit?
with you guys pretty much.
Oh.
I don't really have a whole lot. I was just going to say, yeah, if you can consider film, art, video game storylines, I feel like are getting, or video games in general, I feel like are getting more like films with more cinematics and character development and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah, and I guess that's something interesting to look at, because and actually this transitions, that's the word I'm looking for, perfectly into kind of the next topic of like, can video games and how will video games evolve in the art form as they are now. Like, I talked about definitely in the last podcast about how I feel, there's definitely more of an open world. There's more of these bigger, grander, kind of epic stories that are being told in a single video game. But will we ever go back to these more smaller types of simpler video games where it's all about just the gameplay, it's not about the story, and see those as arts? I mean, those games always come up first. So let me give a few examples. Like you said, Journey, Kyle, and another game that comes to mind that is kind of arguably not a video game, but it is an interactive form of entertainment, which was Dear Esther. It's literally, you just walk forward. You can't click on anything. You can't jump. You can't sprint. You just walk through the 3D world, and a story kind of unfolds in front of you.
So
That's
it's more of a spectating.
Yeah. But it was originally like a mod for Half-Life, and then they updated it, and now the guys it's a beautiful video game. And the guys who made that are actually working on the graphics for the next Amnesia game. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's just kind of off topic though. So, and then of course, so there's those are two good, just like really simple mechanics that translate into a very, very interesting video game. And I was trying to think of there was another one that I had in mind. Of course, there's Limbo and Braid and Fez and all these other like really simple indie games that have their storyline, but they're not revered for their story. They're revered for the experience that comes off just from the world and from the game mechanics and stuff like that. And with how big titles are going forward, I mean, do you think, and I'll just ask you, I mean, do you think indie games are going to have a good space in future consoles and just the future generation of video games?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, just like you were saying, simple games like Journey, for instance, that was an indie game, correct? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
okay. I mean, like, that's won like Game of the Year last year.
Yeah. That's true.
It's just something simple, no combat. I don't know what it is. I guess, I don't know. Games like that, for example. Yeah, that's
Right.
there'll be plenty more arcade games like that coming out that'll do really well.
Well, I guess then, and there is definitely a pattern of that happening more and more so. We're seeing more and more independent games come out by one or two people, and people are just like blown away by it because these people have artistic freedom because they're independent. They don't have to worry about a budget. They don't have to worry about pleasing some old person who doesn't know anything about video games who runs the business. It's just them making something that they know that they like, and they grew up as gamers, so it transitions well to other gamers. Or it translates well to other gamers. So do you think as the industry matures, because the industry is only just barely 30 years old. I mean, that's young for an industry that's $1 billion industry. Do you think that that's something that we'll start to see more and more in AAA titles where they're more simple, they're more artistic, and they're more about the experience rather than the story, because I know for a fact that we'll still get those AAA titles with stories. I mean, Mass Effect is another good example of a big AAA title with an amazing world and an amazing story, but it was definitely a AAA title where you shot and you leveled up, and it had all those like traditional game mechanics. What do you think, Kyle?
I mean, obviously, I mean, as things get more powerful, they're going to be using that to their advantage. So I mean, I think without a doubt they'll be larger in scope and look better. I mean, just have all that, but at the core of it, I think there'll still be the some kind of intimate experience that makes that artistic connection. I mean, that's like I said in previous episodes. I'm more excited to see, when they showed off the next gen consoles, I wanted to see like next gen experiences, like what is going to make this like the story next gen. Like, how am I going to experience? How is that going to evolve? Like, I could care less that I mean, don't get me wrong, I like it when things look awesome, but I mean, that's a given every single time a new console cycle comes out. I mean, it looks better, duh. But how are you going to use that to draw me into a story better, or craft a world better that makes me, all those things come together, and that's what makes it an art form. You have the voice actors, the animation, the guys that are creating the world, that all of that coming together using like the new powerful systems comes together, and that's what makes the art experience, in my opinion.
And I think that they're more going for freedom.
Did we lose you?
Oh God!
Did we lose you?
Wait, are you guys still there?
Black Hawk Down.
Okay, we hear you now. I don't know.
Okay.
You cut out there for a second. Start over.
Okay. Well, I was saying, I think games are going to are moving towards like freedom for players. So games are going to be more open world, and storylines are based off more of their decisions. So characters have a more of an emotional connection to the game for their character making these choices that dictate how the game plays and how it ends and that kind of thing.
And I find that actually really, really interesting, because that's something that's actually not that new. It's new for consoles, but it's not new for gaming. Because like Obsidian, who's a fairly old RPG company now, has made games like Planescape, Torment, and a bunch of other like isometric RPGs and stuff. And of course there's like the original Neverwinter series. There's the
I'm so glad Paul's
Fallout
around, because that would just be just a wealth of information.
There's the original Fallout and Fallout 2 by who I can't remember who originally did them, but they're these old school games that were on the PC that they simplified the graphics. They had a system that was diverse enough that they could have a very large game, and so you had that kind of open world, do what you want, let the and your decisions will affect your end game. But we're now starting to see it not only just on consoles, but with high fidelity. Like we're seeing it with live. What's the term I'm looking for? Something like real time combat and stuff like that. Like all those games are more turn based combat, and it was just a lot simpler. So now we're seeing it in more and more complicated ways, but we're also seeing it in the hands of people who have never really developed games like that. We're seeing it with Bungie. I mean, Bungie's never made a real big open world MMO style before. Of course, the people who make the best of those games are people like Bethesda, who have been making those kind of games for a while. And so it's interesting to see how this is evolving faster and faster, and it'll be interesting to see how they utilize the new technology to tell new experiences. I think that's kind of what you were saying, Kyle. Like, I don't want to play a movie. Like, okay, I've seen that before. What was it? Heavy Rain. Like, okay, I played that, and of course all the other. What's his name? Is it David Cage? I can't remember. Whoever made Heavy Rain. Yeah, and all those other games he made. He made what was the other one? Indigo Prophecy.
Prophecy.
I'm doing so good on names today. It's kind of blowing my mind.
Straight beast mode.
I know. And so we've seen those kind of like, okay, these are movies that you interact with, but I want to see something where I affect the world but I also like I want to be able to make the story, and I think that's why.
Dictate.
Yeah, I just want to be able to I want to be able to live the story myself. I want to be able to go out into the world and role play whatever I want. I mean, that's why like Minecraft, when it first came out, it was such a big deal, because that was a game where it's like, we're gonna just basically give you the tools to do stuff, but then not limit which direction you go in. You just go build whatever you want. And it'll be interesting to see putting in a little bit more of a tight space with an actual like AI system and like actual like NPCs and stuff that you can interact and talk to, if they can really open up storylines to where the art is the universe that that the game's in, and the story is whatever you make of it. I mean,
Well, that's why I think Mass Effect was so successful, given the
Right.
way it ended, pissed a lot of people off because, I don't know, it was just really anticlimactic. But
Yeah,
throughout
those-
the whole thing, I thought it was neat that your choices really did affect
Right.
everything in the game, and you could pretty much, to a certain extent, do whatever you wanted with missions and stuff. So,
I mean,
And
that Mass Effect was like one of the first games where I've like I planned out what I wanted to do, because
Right.
I knew like this was going to affect this, which could in turn do that. Like, so
Yeah.
I mean,
I did the same
especially
thing.
the suicide mission. I was like, okay. I think the first time I went through and like got everybody murdered, so I didn't save, and then went back because that's how I wanted to play it. Like, I wanted to have everybody to see what happens to them in 3. And so
Yeah.
like that was the first game that like I really actually felt like I was in control of something.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I mean, when I look to play a video game, I always get really turned off when I see the mechanics thrown in my face. It's like, these are the rules, these is what you have to do. I kind of like a video game where I feel where everything kind of feels more natural. Like, I always like going into a video game and it's always, and I just feel like I'm playing. It's just real natural. I'm just going around doing whatever. You know, I'm just hitting the buttons, I'm finding stuff, I'm leveling up, I'm doing what I need to do. But it always drives me crazy, and I don't know why I got onto this site, but it always drives me crazy when I'm like in a video game and it's like, okay, you did this combo, now you're going to the next level. Okay, you got to fight the boss. Okay, now you're going to the next level. Like, that always drives me insane. And it's not necessarily like that I'm arguing against like level-based games for open world games, but what I mean is like, I don't want to just like get a bunch of points at the end of the level and then just move on to the next one and do
Right.
the same thing over and over again. I kind of want the freedom to just play, just, you know, play it how I want to play it.
I think
And I-
that's sorry, go ahead.
And I was just gonna say, and I feel like that's something that a lot of people are getting into. Like, okay, we love the Elder Scrolls series, and the MMO is getting ready to come out in the next year or so. People are getting really excited about that, but they're also really worried that they're going to lose a lot of those freedoms because now they're adding in all these MMO tropes. And if for that game to be good, for that game to take on other large MMOs like World of Warcraft and Rift and Neverwinter and all these other games, it's going to have to be successful in both places. It's going to have to please MMO players. It's also going to have to please these people who like to just go out into their world and play the game however they want. And I find that interesting because I think we're going to see this being pulled off more and more. Actually, I was watching a video today about, and I always go back to MMOs because I really see that as being almost every video game in the future is going to have some type of MMO piece to it. But I was watching a video on Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. This one lady on this YouTube channel, she's like she might be the only person who's allowed to make videos of the beta right now, and she was just showing this stuff off, and it's just, to me, it was graphically impressive, and 2, it still had that feeling of freedom. Like, you have your classes, you definitely want to build your, like, if you're going to do a dungeon run, you definitely kind of want to build your group a certain way, but at the same time, you just kind of have that freedom to do whatever you want. Matter of fact, in that game, unlike a lot of other MMOs, you can just change classes pretty much whenever you want. If you just say, I want to be a healer now, I'm going to be a healer. If you want to be a tank, you can switch over to your warrior class and run around with a sword and a shield and a bunch of heavy armor. And that's I don't know. I feel like I'm getting more and more off the topic of art, but I'm not at the same time. Like, that's going to transcend from art that's something that we're used to, like a story or just beautiful graphics, into a new form of art where the interaction is the art as opposed to just the story or the visuals. I think that's what I was trying to get to at the end of all that.
Well, I think, like I said, the way, like all of that for you is adding to your experience.
Right.
So what makes this an art is it's creating an experience for you that is
Right.
affecting you. So,
Right.
I mean, it's a very personal, I guess, experience or medium, because I mean, you're not just watching, you are controlling. And like, if I want to go over here, I'll go over here, see what's over here, and you stumble upon something that, not, I mean, some, Easter egg or whatever hidden thing that not everybody's found. So you're like, wow, that's awesome. You know what I mean? So it's something that is stirring you, for lack of a better word. That, I think that's what makes this such a special medium.
And I'm not trying to get away from the fact that graphics aren't important, because they always will be, and story is definitely important. Like, I go back to my thought in my brain about the Walking Dead video game series, and how, like, to me, that story in the Walking Dead has the potential, or I mean, in the video game has the potential to be more impactful than the comic book or the TV show could ever be, because you're controlling the characters, you're making decisions for the characters, and so you as a person have a better chance to develop a deeper relationship with the characters. And I think that's why video games and stories that are even movie-like always seem to have a bigger impact, especially to me, than a lot of movies do, because I get invested into the character. I either feel like I am the character or I feel like I'm helping the character. And so then when tragedy happens or something really good happens, that emotion translates to me pretty powerfully, at least more powerful than it would.
Have you all played through the Telltale Walking Dead game?
I've I've watched a playthrough of it. Yeah.
I started mine, but I didn't beat it.
What the?
How could you not beat it? It's so good. The story's really good.
It's that, and that's another one. That was, well, I can't say that. It might be. I don't know. If I probably have to think about it more. But that was another like first for me. Like, no spoilers, but once it got to the end, I mean, that was like, one game where I wanted to do this so Clementine would be okay, and like,
right.
I don't know, you see all this stuff happen, it was actually, you were like, I don't know, they just did such a great job of
you care for
like
that
making
character.
you care for Clementine, and what's his name? I forgot his name now, but so by the end of it, whenever all that does happen, it was very gut wrenching to see it all play out.
Did you see? Have you played the 300 Days DLC?
No, I haven't, because there's no such thing as the 300 Days DLC. I'm sorry, it's 400 days.
Okay, did you play the 500 Days DLC?
No, I haven't, unfortunately, not yet. I feel like that's kind of like I don't know.
It's not. You need to play it.
Okay.
If you're gonna play season 2, by the end of
does this like bridge the gap or something?
Yeah, basically, at the end of that whole thing decides what characters are going to be available to you in the next game, or at least
really?
I don't know if you're going to play as them, but it determines who's going to be where, basically, based on the decisions in that game.
See, I think I want to, but I think it was kind of like I was like cared so much about like everybody that was in the first one, and this one, since it was like new people and stuff like that, I wasn't as, I don't know, I guess interested as I thought I would be, because they didn't
Play
say
through it.
What?
It's really good. Play through it.
Okay.
I've also watched a playthrough of that. I've watched 2 playthroughs of it, actually, 2 different people, because I was curious to see how different it was. But yeah, it'll be worth it, because I'm sure in the second season a lot of the same characters will come back, but there's a little bit of bridge gapping from the first season to the second season. But the most important is you're gonna. I don't know if you're gonna play these characters or if you're gonna run into these characters, but you're gonna develop, a little bit of these characters, and you're gonna place them in certain parts of the world based on your decisions in that game. And I don't want to spoil it for you, but yeah.
Well, that's another thing. Like, who would have thought that somebody could make somebody like feel an emotion about a computer character? Like,
Yeah.
Who was the first person that was like, I'm going to sit down and make the story really good. My goal is to get somebody like emotionally involved in what's going on in this computer game, and to do it at the level that some people do is like staggering to think about.
And that's a really good point. And that's probably something, again, if I had actually done some actual research, it'd be interesting to look back at maybe some of the first video games that really had like good storylines or even had reviews where people were like, oh, this game really was moving and stuff like that. Because I bet you they existed even back in the DOS days where you had to like type in everything to get it running. Because even things like, there was like the Legend or I don't know what it's called, but the Zork series, like those are just off the wall, crazy, just super crazy, insane.
You lost me on that one.
Yeah, the Zork series, they're text-based adventures, and the only one I've ever played is Return to Zork, which is I think the only one that actually has graphics in it. The other ones are literally just text adventures. But those are definitely games that people remember and have some type of emotional, even if it's just like, that was the weirdest, craziest game I ever played as a text adventure, I mean, it's definitely one of those games that go into a lot of people's brains for memories because they remember.
Okay,
for
quick
emotional
question.
reasons.
Can a multiplayer experience be art?
I'm glad you brought that up. But I'm going to let Nathan talk first because I feel like I've been not giving him the opportunity.
No, man, you're good.
Dead. Are you dead, Nathan?
No, answer his question because I'm getting ready to talk for like 30 minutes.
All right, what was your question again, Kyle?
I said, can a multiplayer experience be art? I'll just lead. I'm not going to answer my own question, but I'll just lead off. Like, I guess the reason I asked it, I was looking at my games over here, and I looked at Battlefield Bad Company 2, and that was one of the
World's
first
greatest game, right?
Man, multiplayer, yes, best multiplayer game ever. But that's what, like, the destruction and like everything like that, like came together for me, and that was one game where I would like literally sit there in like awe and be like, "Wow, this is incredible." But anyway, go ahead.
To me, I consider any video game art. I mean, I know some people may not consider it that way unless, like you were saying, unless there's some sort of emotional connection to the game or experience in that way. But just the fact that they create new worlds and stuff like that, to me, that's pretty incredible. But who knows? Games like that are coming out that, like for instance, Titanfall. There is no single player; it's just multiplayer. But they said they're all adding, I guess, single player elements to it. I don't know how they're doing that, but who knows? Maybe that'll add some sort of emotional thing to multiplayer. But yeah.
I mean, I think the obvious. I think it's yes. I don't think you could argue that there's no such thing as a multiplayer game without any art. And the easiest argument to make for me would be World of Warcraft, but I'm not going to do that because I'm not necessarily a fan of that game, so I don't like defending it as a good game. I mean, it is a good game, but whatever. We're going to move on because what I actually want to talk about is a game that I've made fun of, but I've actually never watched anyone play it, but I watched them play it today, and that's World of Tanks. I've always heard about World of Tanks. I've always thought, what kind of dumb game it's that you run around.
It's called World of Tanks.
Yeah, it's called World of Tanks.
And now you can play it on Xbox One.
I know. What is this game, right? Well, it turns out it's actually a pretty interesting game. And I'm not going to go into all the mechanics of it, but it's basically kind of like a deathmatch, but you only have one life. So as soon as you're destroyed, you're destroyed. So two teams just go up against each other in various tanks, and then as you play, you upgrade your tank and yada yada yada. So I just explained it. But anyway, I was watching them play it, and I was like, okay, first of all, it looks really good. And then as I kept watching it, I started thinking, I was like, oh, there's actual emotion coming from the guy who's playing this game. He's actually scared of these other tanks, because once he gets shot and killed, he's dead and he's done for the match. And he's also like, oh, he just got this new tank and it's really slow. And I was like, that's a good example of, and it was just kind of interesting to see him like playing the game, and this kind of goes back to like doing what you want and getting feedback from the video game that allows you to be like, okay, this is cool that I'm doing this. So he was like driving and he hit a tree. Most video games, you hit a tree, you bounce off, you have to go around the tree. But of course, you're driving a tank, so in World of Tanks, the tree falls over like it would in real life, which was just kind of stupid, because then the tree just disappears and it's, it's a video game. But it was just cool to be like, to be in that mindset of actually being in a tank, and like, because the controls are kind of slow and sluggish, and like you turn your cursor to look one way, but the turret turns really, really slow, so it takes you a while to aim and stuff. And it felt like you were fighting in a tank, and when you ran over stuff, it acted like you hit it with a tank. I was like, this is actually really well executed. This is actually looks like a lot more fun than I thought it would be. And I think that's also a good example. And then of course I was watching, I can't remember what it's called now. It's some mech fighter game where everybody's in mech. And while it was a good game, this whole idea, I don't know, and this is a little, I'm not actually going to say this is artful. I'm just going to make the comment that everything was brown. It just blew my mind. And it reminded me of someone saying that like in modern video games, the way to make the game look really real is to just make everything brown and like gray, because apparently that's how the real world is. It's just brown and gray, which I somehow don't believe when I go outside and I see a bunch of green everywhere. But yeah, it's just, and when I say everything was brown, I mean the sky was brown, the buildings were brown, the mechs were brown. There was no other color. It was just shades of brown. It was weird. Anyway, so yes is my answer to your question. How about that?
I'll take it.
I managed to cut it down to 5 minutes because I cut out the World of Warcraft comments.
You did threaten us with 30, though.
I know. I could have done it. I could have kept going. I could talk about Awesome Knots. That's a multiplayer game.
Well,
I think
and
it's tons of fun.
Obviously, Journey. I mean,
yeah.
Not only is it you don't talk to the other person you're playing with. Like,
yeah, that's a very unique.
It's strictly, yeah. But there's people like that just literally say like, I weeped at the end of that game. Like I cried about it.
Oh yeah, I've heard that statement about people who said that. I've heard them say it.
I'm scared to play it because I don't know how to love, so I wouldn't be affected that way.
Wait, you haven't played Journey?
I've watched it. Okay, get off.
What the F, Kyle? You own a PlayStation and jonesing about PlayStation exclusives,
Listen,
and you haven't played the best one, probably.
All that happened when the network went down, and after the year after it happened, I get back into it. Okay,
you can play it now.
Okay.
Listen, I don't need this. Everybody knows that I'm the talent, and I'll walk if I have to.
Whatever. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's start wrapping it up a little bit. Let's talk about. Well, let's do it how we normally do it, and just have a question that's really stupid and short answer, and we'll just say our opinion on the most artistic game, like just what we consider maybe our favorite game that we consider artistic for artistic value. I don't know how to word this question. It's weird. I don't want to say the most artistic game because that's a weird way to judge things, is how artistic they are. But you know what I mean. A game that affected you in in an emotional state, because isn't that how art works?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just answer the question. I don't know how to state it.
Kyle, you can go up first.
Oh gosh. There's several here, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of generation spanning.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, the earliest one that I can remember, I'd probably have to say Ocarina of Time.
Ugh.
I mean, what? I know.
Don't,
no, I'm just saying that's like easy answer. Anybody could say that.
Well, if you'd let me elaborate.
You mean the 3DS version, right?
Yes. Because I mean that like being so young, like that was like my perception of video games now, and then whenever I was that old is
Yeah.
like greatly different. Like I didn't
Right.
appreciate like what it takes to actually make a game or like understand kind of the process. But looking back now,
Mm-hmm.
like what it was on and stuff like that, like that's why it stands the test of time because it was so well made and like just so well written. It made you care about you wanted to get to the end to defeat Ganon, get everything, and so like that's why I hold that game so highly because like now look, kind of better understanding what goes into it. You look back and like, wow, that really was incredible that they're able to do something like that.
And even just like the side stuff that wasn't even part of anything. Like maybe you got an extra heart or you got an upgrade to your bow or
Right.
something. That like going into the woods and you find that little dude with the mask playing on the little fluty thing. Like that was weird.
That and going back after you played Majora's Mask and seeing
Oh yeah.
shit, that freaked me. Like I literally when I was playing that with the 3DS, like I was looking at him on the thing. I was like, this guy's gonna try to destroy the world in another.
Yeah.
Like it freaked me out.
Man, Majora's Mask is another amazing game. It's a great game.
Yeah, I don't think that I realized how good that was too whenever it came
I
out.
want to go back and play it again, but it also scares me. Just straight up and down. That game terrifies me.
Like
It's a scary game.
it's like on a different level than
Yeah.
like it's so different. Like that's why
Yeah.
I didn't like it whenever it came out because I was like I just want to play Ocarina of Time
Right.
2, and that
Yeah.
was not it. But like
No.
looking at it now, I was like, wow, this is I, it actually. It would be hard to say that it might not be on par with Ocarina of Time. I said it.
No, I think it definitely is. I don't think that's an argument that a lot of people would make. I mean, I guarantee you there's actually a few people out there that would say that they actually enjoy Majora's Mask more than Ocarina of Time. That they think it's a
Those
better
people
game.
are retarded.
It's a really good game. I could listen to an argument about that. I wouldn't necessarily agree, but I could listen to an argument about it. But anyway,
Well, and then I'll finish up my short list here, I guess. Um, I, it's going to sound really stupid, but Metal Gear Solid 2,
it's a good game.
the part where Otacon's, I think it was his sister died. I
Oh
remember
yeah,
being like, I was like, oh wow, he's really upset. Like that was the first time like com- I use computer character very. I know it's a horrible term to say, but like a computer generated character, like it's like oh wow, like you actually felt like he was really upset.
yeah, yeah.
And
I
then
get what you're saying.
I don't like I said Mass Effect. I mean, just games that were like I don't know, just like large scope, but still
Yeah.
like the Telltale game. I mean, that
Mhm.
was like I said, one of the first games that actually was like gut wrenching to the end play out, and so a little bit of everything kind of mixed in there.
Yeah. All right, Nathan, you ready to go?
And
Sure.
Figure it out.
Somewhat. I'm like Kyle. There's too many, but I guess Super Nintendo, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time.
Oh my gosh.
Now, given like Kyle said, my perspective of video games as a kid was a lot different then than it is now. But God, that game, I could play that game every day as a kid and I would never get tired of it. I don't know. It's not really about emotional experience, it's more of immersive experience. Just gameplay for me was just amazing. And then, like you said, Mass Effect, Skyrim, even those games I think are freaking awesome. But
Yeah.
I will say Last of Us. Probably there's nothing really special about it, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know
as
why I
far
left
as
it off my list.
as far as gameplay, I mean it's not like anything groundbreaking, but I don't know, the storyline to me was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So
No, I got you. Man, I just had like a flood of like 1,000 old games fly through my head, and now I'm having a hard time to decide. I definitely want to say things like if I like I'm looking at my NES games, and I'm just remembering like games that I played a lot of. Like so, there's like the original Castlevania, There's the original, or there's Yo Noid. Like, how stupid of a game that is. Of course, there's the 2 original Zeldas. Original Mario. Mario 3 actually is probably one of my favorite NES games of all time. Not necessarily that's the most artistic. But then, like, Eternal Darkness on the GameCube. Amazing game.
Yeah, that game was
I love that game.
pretty awesome.
And of course, and then I go to PC games, and there's 1,000 games that I would name if I could remember the name of them. But then even like, I was thinking of like the original Prince of Persia. Like, that game is amazing. And then there's like, was it the original King's Quest, or did we have like King's Quest 2? Like, that game was really good. And then, oh man, Betrayal at Krondor. Like, I know
I don't
you
even
guys,
know what you're talking about.
I know. Not a lot of people do. It was a really weird game. It had like one
The
sequel,
Horn
like,
of Gondor?
no, Betrayal at Krondor. It was like,
The Horn of Gondor. Gotcha.
it was an old school RPG where you had a party. You kind of had turn-based combat, but it was in a 3D world, and it was very much like it was after, probably just after like the first 2 Elder Scrolls games came out, and it was very similar in that kind of fashion where you moved around in a 3D world. Now in those they had the real-time combat, even in the original Elder Scrolls Arena. I don't know if you knew that, but that's what the original Elder Scrolls is called. But this one, you like ran into people, and then you went into like a turn-based mode, and it was so good. And then I think of like the original Need for Speed. Like, I just remember games that, to me as a kid, they meant a lot. Like, and they had a deep impact on my life. Like Lemmings, the original Lemmings, and like the Lost Levels or whatever that came out after that. Like, those are games that, oh man. And then there's Lode Runner. I've played way too many games as a kid. These are, oh my gosh, I could go on for days. But
Adventures of Monkey Island. Did you guys play that game?
I have played it recently. I
heard
didn't play it
Logan
when it
talk
first
about
came out. But yes.
God, that game was amazing too.
Yeah, I see your little tweet there. Anyway.
Can I add Red Dead Redemption to my list?
I think we could go on for the rest of the night just naming off
No
amazing
Rockstar games. I'm just joking.
Have you?
I'm just kidding, Kyle.
Whatever, man.
I've got to say, like, Dragon Age 1, not Dragon Age whatever the second one was. It was good, but it wasn't as good as the original. Fallout series, Mass Effect series, Connect Adventures. I'm just kidding.
Wii Sports.
Wii Sports, Fruit Ninja. I mean, can we say hello to some Angry Birds here? I'm just kidding. No, I want to say something that's a little more. Oh gosh, guys, we missed 2 of the greatest, most artistic, immersive, fun, game mechanic, revolutionary titles ever.
This better be incredible.
Portal and Portal 2. Crickets. I got crickets there.
They're I wouldn't say greatest, but yes, they are fantastic
Well, they were just
games.
They were just, to me, they were super immersive for what they were.
Yeah.
And the mechanics were revolutionary for what they were.
They
They really
simple.
were. I remember the first time I played Portal, my brain couldn't handle it.
When I finished that game and I heard that song and she just sang me a song, I was like, this I could die right now.
Die
Okay.
happy.
I wish you would have.
Yeah. All right, let's finish this up because I think we're running a little long. I'm waiting for my computer to explode here in a second. All right. So, of course, if you have a game that we left off my very long list and their very long list of super artistic and wonderful games, of course, there's also the Space Quest games. Those are good. Those are also...
What's the game where you're the wolf and you paint?
Oh, yeah. I never played it.
No, I'm going to butcher that if I... Yeah, something like that.
It was Okami, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I just need to stop. And Mist. I didn't say Mist. I meant to say Mist. Jeez. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Of course, rate, comment, subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. Give us feedback. Tweet us. You can tweet all 3 of us. You can tweet me at FreeTheHawk and Kyle at WhoAmKyle, and of course Nathan at Heisenberg56. We love to hear your tweets because, I have my phone on vibrate, so I don't actually hear them. But I do read them because I never get them. But I will read them. I promise.
So depressing.
I know, it's sad. So if you want to make us happy and you want us to keep doing this,
You can
then,
even tell us how stupid Or
Exactly.
you can tell me how stupid I sound. I don't care.
Yeah, tell Kyle how stupid he sounds, because it's getting on
Do
my
it.
nerves, and I try to tell him, but he doesn't listen to me. He just keeps coming back. But anyway, again, thank you so much. We are going back to weekly podcasts. I'm trying to think if there's any news we need to tell them about the podcast. I don't think so. Next month, we are going to start a game of the month. We're going to do one podcast a month that's about a specific game, and just, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to talk about the game, but we're going to talk about how much we liked it, how much we hated it, what we thought about it, just in general. So that'll be at the end of every month. So we're going to start that next month. So if you have any ideas on what games we should play, and this could be old and new and not even real, just make up a game. We'll play it, and we'll talk about it on one of our podcasts. And of course, if you want to be a guest, eventually we're going to start doing that. Eventually we're going to start bringing some of our friends on. I don't know why we haven't done it yet. We're still kind of working out exactly how this show works. Is there anything else I need to say?
I think you
Happy
got it.
10th episode.
Happy 10th episode! There should be like some celebratory music, but that's alright. Yeah, again,
Cue
thank
the
you all.
music.
Cue the music. Wop, 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 wop. Alright. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye-bye.